Zwift is one of the iconic climbs in the whole of the Zwift game. It's based on the Alpe du Zwift, which is a genuine outdoor in real life climb and is used in the Tour de France. The Zwift version is faithfully reproducing that climb, although it does use the tourist route, which is about 40 metres less climbing than the one that the professionals undertake. But for all intents and purposes, you're doing one of the climbs in the Tour de France. 21 hairpins, over 12 kilometres or just over 7.5 miles long, and 644 metres of elevation gain. When I did this back on the 29th of November 2024, I recorded a time of 1 hour and 58 seconds, which was slightly frustrating as it was just outside the 1 hour mark that you see so often on videos on YouTube, and how you can achieve a badge in the game for climbing the Alpe du Zwift in less than an hour. So I haven't done it since, but on the 4th of May, I thought I'd have another go. Just to give you some background, in the meantime, I've been doing quite a lot of Zwifting and some outdoor riding as well now that the weather's got better, and I've done a number of races, and over that period of time my weight has come down and my FTP has gone up. So I felt like I was in a good position to beat that 1 hour mark, and that's what I intended to do, was to get under 1 hour and achieve the kudos that comes with achieving that in the game. So when I started, I didn't really do any major calculations to see what I needed to achieve. I decided that as my FTP was 308 at the time, that I would try for as long as I could to get over 300 watts on every single section. And you can see on the left-hand side, it very helpfully breaks it down into 21 segments that are all counted upwards by a stopwatch, so you can see where you are on each segment, and then records the watts that you achieve for that segment. So my objective was simple: over 300 watts on every section, certainly a little bit higher to start with, and allowing for the fact that on my first climb, my watts came down as I went higher. So therefore I thought if I'd start above 300 watts, then if I could keep it above 290 for the whole climb, I was in with a good shout of getting to the top in under 1 hour. Let's see how I got on, and then we can discuss the actual result at the end. As we're approaching the final counted section up to corner 1 or hairpin 1, you can see that I've done okay. I've been averaging for nearly all of the segments over 300 watts, and only for a couple of them have I fallen below that. One of the mistakes that I made on the first climb was that I didn't realise that the climb still had another segment to go after it counted down to hairpin 1. I suppose when I think about it, it's obvious, but actually you need to get to 0. And it doesn't do a watts or a countdown for that. So I knew that this was going to happen this time. It didn't take me by surprise, and I didn't suddenly feel defeated as I did last time. And I think that's maybe one of the things that contributed to me not achieving the time that I wanted to. So for this last section, I knew that I had to keep on pushing on. And you can see I've got out of my seat. I'm still trying to power up to get over that 300 watts for as long as I can as I come into the last few hundred meters before we get to the top. And very helpfully, Zwift, as always, has a countdown in the center section of the heads-up display. You can see it's telling me that I'm now anticipating getting an ETA of 49 minutes and 14 seconds. And honestly, it was about halfway through the climb that I was looking at how far I'd gone and how much further I had to go. And I genuinely couldn't quite work out in my head how well or how badly I was doing, because it looked like I was going to get around 50 meters. Kind of halfway up, I was around the 25-minute mark, and I'm thinking, well, there's no way that I'm going to do that. But then as I continued to go, I could see that I was actually performing a lot better than I thought I would do at the beginning of the climb, and that I intended to try and achieve at the beginning. So now I'm thinking, I wonder if I can get under 49 minutes. And you can see that I've managed to get my ETA to 48.57. We've only got 280 meters left to go, and I'm pushing as hard as I can. 370 watts. I've still got some life in the old legs yet, and we're getting very close to the end. Let's see very quickly how it finishes up. With just 50 meters to go, I've got an ETA of 48.53, and that's what I did. So under 50 minutes. I was amazed, delighted, surprised, all of these things. And Zwift still won't give me those millions time wheels. But anyway, I guess I've only done it twice, so maybe I have to put a bit more in. Let's have a quick look at the stats at the end of the race, and I'll take you through exactly what happened. Well, you can see by the look on my face that that was not easy. During this bit here, I'm actually trying to get my breath back. But if we have a look at the timeline, you can see that it's a pretty consistent effort across the board. Always managing to achieve in and around that 300 watt mark, and indeed a bit of a push at the end. And then to compare it to previous rides, we can see that for the 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 minute mark, it's all in and around my best. So very pleased with that as a performance. So what can we take away from this? Well, essentially, if you're looking to get under 50 minutes, you need to set yourself a target. You'd probably want to focus on your watts per kilogram. So take an idea of what your FTP is, which should be a sustained effort that you can hold for 20 minutes. Pare it back by a few watts, and then divide that by your weight, and that will give you an indication of the watts per kilogram that you need to achieve. But for me, because it's all counted in watts on that left-hand side in the table as you're climbing the road to the sky, I would recommend setting yourself a watt target. Essentially, I think it's all about starting off with a plan, sticking to that plan as much as you can, and then you too can achieve that under 50 minute mark. I wish you all the very best of luck. Thank you for watching the video. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you on the next one. Bye now.